Well, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming of the Daytona 500, who's in rain delay, to bring you Championship Sunday, Round 6 of Season 7 of the classic IndyCar Series winter racing season, as we come to you from one final time this season from the finale here at Laguna Seca Raceway for the CIS Marlboro Challenge. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. He should be with us momentarily. It will be Andrew Wood, who's just grabbing a drink as we are preparing for this show. And we have a championship battle on our hands today. It is going to be Cameron Dance. It is going to be Johnny Garrett. They are at the top of the speed charts right now, and they are at the top of the points going into this final race to determine the championship, as well as a heck of a battle for the bottom step of the podium. We'll talk about that as we get into this thing. But about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in qualifying. Right now, Dance and Garrett, 1 and 2, Laville, Manzato, and Giacometti, your top 5.
Yeah, Gary, it's good to be with you again. Reuniting for the first time in actually a few weeks now, as I had a separate partner for the Mosport race, and last week I tried my own hand at racing at Phoenix, which was one to forget, but it was still kind of fun to just get back in the car again and actually race with some guys and everything like that. And I'm sure some of these new faces got to see my name out there on track and kind of scrap a little bit. But yeah, we're here at Laguna Seca, another road course to finish out this season. And I'm actually checking out this roster right now, and I see quite a few new names out here. So it's nice to see the Classic IndyCar Series has definitely had more of an outreach over the last couple months, especially in this winter season, and hopefully some of these guys want to try out the full season that starts in just a few weeks as well.
3 minutes and 30 seconds left to play here in qualifying. There are your current conditions on the screen. Shouldn't be very challenging for these guys in these conditions. 70 degrees ambient, 87 degrees track temperature, so we don't expect tire degradation to be a big factor in today's race. Here are the points coming in to today's race. There you see Dance and Garrett separated by 4. Then it's Giacometti, Hoffman, Stum, McEwen, Shoemake. Really, that whole group right there, anyone below third is really still in the battle for third. And we will give you the scenarios here later on. But the lineup right now as it stands is Dance provisionally on the pole. Garrett, Giacometti third, Laville, Manzato, Barcanau, is in 6th. We have Marcameni back in 7th. A new driver, I believe, is Mellis. Although I am saying that right. Mellis actually going down a spot as Laville goes up to 5th, but Mellis down in 9th and Stum down in 10th. Pretty closely timed. The top 6 all in the 106 or faster bracket. Starting in 7th, it's all 108 and higher. With the field this slow, this low. Now, you don't have a huge starting field. That actually, you are starting further up front. You don't have to push on that mega run there. It's only 15 cars right now, or 14 cars. Robert there, and not putting up a time. He is the host with the most. He's doing live race control out there for us.
That battle that you were mentioning, that's third on back there, it's kind of looking pretty close for the qualifying standings right now. I'm actually watching Jan Hoffman do his 4 qualifying laps. He's placed himself right there on row 2 next to a rival of Andrea Giacometti. So that should be pretty interesting, and looks like Hoffman's going to actually try and destroy the car as we speak. I wasn't expecting that to happen, but it was right on cue as we're talking to him. So that makes things definitely pretty interesting for that battle for third. And yeah, it's not the championship win, but when you're in such a close mini series like this, you're always kind of trying to see where you stack up against the rest of the pack, especially since we've hit pretty much all different track types and configurations here.
This is a 2.24-mile permanent 11-turn road course. We're doing 45 laps, just over 100 race miles, or 1 hour time limit, whatever comes first, but we should get those laps in well before the time limit. 100% fuel, unlimited tires, one fast repair, and a very slow 35-mile-per-hour pit road speed limit here. 22 seconds left to play. The kart track records held by Elio Castroneves. Speaking of Daytona 500, he is in the Daytona 500 lineup right now. But he set the track record with kart back here in 2000 with a time of 1:08.7. IndyCar just recently won up that track record in 2023. Felix Rosenquist with a time of 1:07.6. That was with a newly paved tarmac here. And they were both set under the current configuration. There's been two different configurations here for Laguna Seca in the past. The all-time IndyCar career wins leaders here. Bobby Rahal pretty much owned the track under the older configuration with 4 wins. Danny Sullivan, Michael Andretti, Paul Tracy, Brian Herta, Patrick Carpentier, don't say his name very often, Colton Herta, and now Alex Palou each have 2 wins here. So the next driver to get 3 wins breaks into second place all time. Laguna Seca is also home to Rick Mears' 7th and final road course win. And of course, this is also known for the infamous last lap race winning pass by Alex Zanardi on Brian Hurd and the Corkscrew in '96, simply dubbed the pass. Although Roman Grosjean tried to repeat it on Jimmy Johnson in 2021. Not as graciously done, but still pulled it off nevertheless. So watch up in the Corkscrew as these guys try the pass. Not very many passing zones here. Let's get today's starting lineup in. And there you see Dance and Garrett, championship contenders, starting from the front. Giacometti and Hoffman, row 2. LaVille Manzotto, row 3. Marcanal, Marcametti in row 4. Millis and Stum back in row 5. Moving on, Aiken and McEwen back in row 6. Shoemake and Stanley, row 7. And Rodriguez will be back in row 8. 15 cars taking the green flag today here at Laguna Seca.
We got a nice short pace lap here, and Johnny Garrett has his work cut out for him here. He has to outscore Cameron Dance by quite a bit, so he's hoping that Dance has maybe some sort of difficulty during the race, and he's had that in the past, so it's quite possible that that could maybe come back and bite him. But I think at this point, I think Garrett is going to just try and stay with him and maybe just try and pressure him into a mistake. And if he does pressure him into a mistake, next thing you know, Garrett goes out front, and then he really doesn't have to do much other than just finish ahead of him.
Ace car now moving. First row moving, second row moving, third row moving, fourth row moving. We are all underway here for 45 laps at Laguna Seca. Some people call it WeatherTech Raceway. Do not call it WeatherTech Raceway. I call it Laguna Seca for the CIS Marlboro Challenge. Here we go. Cars around that 11th turn, lining up to take the green flag, and here we go. Green flag in the air, and Dance out to a good jump.
Seems to get through turn 2. It's turn 2 at Laguna Seca, the the first corner, which is another little fun fact you could have mentioned in your thing there, because I'm sure it upsets a lot of people that a turn 1 is not necessarily the first turn.
Oh,
we got
the car off! Oh, and that comes out and tags someone. That is Stum gets tagged. That is Barcanal. That's on the inside, now outside portion of the racetrack. And he just lost it under acceleration. Let's see what happened. Maybe grabs a little bit of the dirt on the corner exit. Yeah, that's what happened. Grabs the dirt under acceleration and then cuts right across Mellis there, and then right up into Stum. Now, looks like iRacing forgave Stum a little bit and snapped back his car in place. We'll see if he needs to come to pit road and get that fast repair executed. Meanwhile, Barcanal is going to get the tow. He could still get the fast repair and continue on here. But back to live TV, and Cameron Dance completes lap 1, starting lap 2 now.
And another thing to mention there is that was two teammates as well. Stum and Barnicow are two teammates, and that's definitely a case of the cold tire effect, especially in these cars on the road courses. You don't want to just drive these cars as if you've been driving them for 7-8 laps or so. You have to really be careful on the first lap, especially for how the tire temps are kind of warming up, and especially if there's a little bit of dirty air that might have played. It's not so big in these cars, but it is quite possible that you're just trying to offset your car just out of habit of the car ahead of you, and next thing you know, you find yourself going a little bit wide.
In real life, these cars never raced this course, not this model. Last time IndyCar was here prior to the current IndyCar Series coming here was in 2004 with the Champ Car World Series. And then there was a big 15-year layoff between the last time they came back here and then when they returned here in 2019, where it has since been on the schedule every year with the exception of 2020 and the global nightmare that was. Yeah, these cars specifically never did race here. So this is an interesting in-sim only recreation that you can see as the IRO 5, IRO 9 never did take the green flag here back in the day.
I got a question for you, actually. What was the very first road course that the IRO 5 raced on? Was it Sonoma, or did they go to St. Petersburg?
St. Pete, I thought it was. I think it was St. Pete.
I'm trusting you. It was a legit question. Wasn't a pop quiz. It's been so long that I can't remember exactly what the first road course was. I actually would have guessed Sonoma if I was at, like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of thing.
Yeah.
But St. Petersburg does sound right. That would have been my second guess. So I think that was around 05 or 06. If I'm not mistaken.
Chad can check us out, and that was Dan Weldon, I believe, won that race. Cameron Dan's purple lap that time through, a 107.7. We're watching a battle here between Johnny Garrett and Jan Hoffman. This is one of the closest battles on the racetrack.
This is not helping Johnny Garrett's championship case here at all, really. He's trying his best to try and outscore Cameron Dance as he locks up a little bit in turn 2 there. So instead, now he has to look in his mirrors and sees Jan Hoffman standing right there. And Hoffman's probably the best suited statistically to take that third position in the championship, but I'm sure at this point that's not what he's thinking about. I think Hoffman might feel like he has a touch more pace than Garrett at this point and may try and see if he can pass Garrett.
Hoffman just slid on into the corkscrew there. From the mind of the machine, Robert Grosser, he says Cameron Dance currently leads by 4 points over Johnny Garrett. Cameron missed one race, so he gets a drop week of 0 points. Well, Johnny's worst race so far is 15 points, and he says as it stands now. So Johnny has to score 20 more than Cameron at Laguna to win the title. He also says a very interesting fight for P3 in the standings, led by Giacometti coming into today's race. Then right behind him, actually tied with Hoffman for third, but the tiebreaker slightly, I think, is going to Giacometti. Stum, 12 points behind the tie for third. McEwen, 16 points behind Stum. And Shoemake, who's already had a one off today, he was tied with McEwen. So that's all going to shake up here, but that is the points coming into today's race. If you are enjoying today's coverage of the CIS Winter Series and respect the stream here at P1, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you don't miss out on future P1 iRacing broadcasts.
It's really fun watching these guys try and push turn 7 as best they can and try and get up the hill towards the corkscrew. It's a very, very crucial straightaway that could possibly lead to a pass if you really try and scare someone off the corkscrew. But instead, these guys are kind of missing that curve on a little bit and finding themselves touching the dust on the outside. And they kick up a lot of that dust, and it's really kind of something to see.
Yeah, especially with the new debris patch or debris update that we've seen with the service. Should see a lot of debris being kicked up, but certainly around the corkscrew, you'll see a lot of it as well. Still watching this battle between Garrett and Hoffman as they continue to pace each other. Battle for second. Lucas Laville is in 4th. He's kind of flashing out at the moment, but Giacometti is in 5th. Oh, he's going to send it to the inside. Oh.
That was kind of what I was just talking about in terms of coming up the straightaway and having a lot of overspeed and everything like that to try and make that move. And it's easy to mess it up when you get up there, because it's something that we talked about right before the broadcast started, Gary, of how you turn into the corkscrew. And if you're off on the inside, or you're kind of not really taking the racing line, it can really throw everything off, and you're just hoping that guy on the outside also is scared to turn in when you're there.
Amber danced another purple lap into the Andretti hairpin. Now out of that, downhill into the bottom portion of the racetrack. We'll go back up here momentarily. This is the newest portion of the race course right here. Used to be turn 2, and the rest of the race course used to reconnect right here in turn 5. For the most part, back in the day, back in the early 80s, Laguna Seca was almost a modified road course oval. This is one of the hardest turns of the track right there. Very fast, hit the bump, could go off into the gravel, up the hill, and now you got to aim the car right, because you don't have much time or much braking zone. As you see right there from Johnny Garrett not getting in there, and he had to cause Hoffman to kind of check up a little bit down the hill.
Very easy to see that Garrett's under a lot of pressure right now, and I don't really understand why he feels like he has a lot of pressure, because his target's up ahead of him. So if he feels like he's under a lot of pressure from a following car, it may be just smart to let the car behind go and see if you guys can work as a team to catch the leader up ahead. It seems like that might be what's happening right now, as actually it looked like he kind of fought him a little bit into turn 2, but Hoffman takes a spot, and now let's see if the two of them can perhaps work together to go catch that leader.
So give a second spot to Hoffman. Garrett now back to 3rd. In the turn 5, back onto the original course, going up the hill. And as I mentioned, this turn 6 right here, very challenging, very fast. If you miss it, you're going off into the gravel. Now we're going up the Rahal Straight. And frankly, if this is not renamed as Zanardi Corkscrew at some point, it is a crime. Downhill. A lot of elevation change here at Laguna Seca, and only 2.2 miles. And we haven't even talked about how difficult this pit road is.
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about that, actually. It's a very, 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 very tight angle of entry, and you really have to kind of have the car almost at a complete stop in order to kind of make it around that corner. And next thing you know, you also have to be on the pit speed at the same time. So it's a lot going on in one turn of the steering wheel to try and keep your car out of trouble.
Speaking of trouble, Andrew Aiken at the top of the corkscrew, now missing a front wing. Like we had an off there, so he's going to nurse that back down. Actually, he might just pull it off to the side and go for the toe and retire from there, and that's what he does. Unfortunately, Aiken's day is over with an incident up in the corkscrew.
Actually, I'm watching. I see Rafael Rodriguez had a similar kind of spin after the corkscrew, and Stum is caught up in it again. He had to do some avoidance there and hit the dirt coming down the hill back towards pit lane again. But Rodriguez has exited from the race, and Stum continues on.
Rodriguez started off this season.
Oh, we have another corkscrew incident.
Who we got? Stanley?
Stanley, yeah. Stanley and I believe Mellis.
Oh, yeah, we have a parking lot at the top of the hill right now. Mellis goes off. Let's check this out. We'll go back in slow motion. Oh, a little bit of help. A little bit of help from Stanley.
Yeah, it looks like it was a little bit of a braking miscommunication there. I think Mellis might not have swung back to the right again to brake for the corner before Stanley was ready to make that move. But, you know, we were mentioning how difficult it is to make moves up here at the corkscrew, but it seems like with such hard places to pass on this circuit, that's where the drivers are seeming to really try it out at this point. All right, so now we got Rodriguez out of the race now. Looks like Stanley and Mellis are probably in the pits for some service. So I think we're down to about 13 cars at this point
Yep.
that are just currently running on track. Maybe some come back out there just to run some laps, do some winter testing, if you will, and try out some different stuff on the car before the big season starts. And we seem to have a bit of a break amongst most of the cars here on track. It seems that now that Jan Hoffman has gotten by Johnny Garrett, I think Garrett's having some difficulty with little bits of his car, or his driving may be slightly off a little bit, but Hoffman seems to have pulled about a 1.5 second gap, and I'm not sure if that's enough to catch Cameron Dance, but maybe something to watch as we go forward.
Cameron has run the other 2 rounds that we've been at on road courses, so he's looking to sweep the road course portion of the schedule. The next race for the Classic IndyCar Series would be the start of their 2025 11th season. Wow, this is one of the more established leagues out there, something that you could probably talk to a little bit, Andrew, but 11 seasons for the CIS, and that will kick off in March, and you can follow all the action of their regular season over on Green Flag TV. We put a link in the description. Check them out. They've been very helpful for us this season, helping us set up the broadcasting for the Winter Series, and we'll gladly turn the wheel over to them for their regular season coverage starting in March. But talk about this series, and if you're wanting to be a part of it, Andrew, this is one of the more longer established series out there. Been around a very, very long time.
Yeah, actually, when I first jumped to the IndyCar after going through my rookie orientation and everything on iRacing, this was actually the very, very first league that I joined. I was doing a lot of the official racing for quite a while, but I had a friend of mine that wanted me to come join this series, and race with them. And I joined first in 2017, I believe. So I'm kind of getting up there in starts right now. I think I have about 60, 70 starts in this series. Took a break for a couple seasons as I was trying to figure out how I was going to race and who I was going to race going forward. But I've seen a lot of drivers come and go here. And honestly, with this old chassis that really not a lot of people race anymore or even consider to be a viable car to set up, it really does kind of astound me that each and every year we seem to get new drivers and people that are very interested in trying this car out. It doesn't get the updates that it deserves anymore necessarily, but it's such a fun series to join, and there's a varying skill level from front to back. So if you were to come join the series, you definitely find yourself battling someone at some point in any race that we do here. So I love this series, and I can't wait for the next season to start. Not really sure what my plan is in terms of who I'm racing with, or how much teammate help I'll have with setup making or anything like that, because open setup is definitely a part of the series that makes it so special. But I think we're going to make it happen, and I'm looking forward to taking to the track no matter who I'm racing with.
And we see the leaders going around slower traffic at the top of the hill, watching Garrett go around Mellis.
Sorry to harp on it so much, but I did want to give a shout out to the admins of this league that really have kept this thing going. And I'd be remiss if I just talked about the series without talking about some of the guys that admin run the series and everything. So I'm happy to be a part of this organization for what seems like it's going on in its 11th season now, which actually is news to me. I thought it was more like 9 or 10 seasons, but it's successful, and I love to see that in iRacing.
And your stat line, according to,
oh no,
well, let's get the stats here, and we'll get you into the let's see.
Don't spring this on me.
We will just put your classic IndyCar Series stats here. Not we won't talk about anything from the Winter Series or anything. And stat-wise, Andrew Wood.
If I had to guess my starts, I think I'm around the 60 to 65 area.
Yep, 62 starts, 1 win, 19 top 5s, and 37 top 10s. So 60% of the time, you are in the top 10.
That's pretty interesting to know. I'll always remember that one win at Auto Club Speedway against my teammate Joshua Chin. We were battling for the win there, and we both said to each other in voice chat, "Let's just go for it and see what happens." And in my head, I said, "I'm not beating Josh Chin." And coming through turn 3 and 4 Auto Club, I just try to tried to keep it kind of mid-track and a little high against the wall, and I beat him by less than a tenth. It was a close finish in the IndyCar Classic IndyCar Series, and I was shocked when it said that I won the race, and Chin said that's my guy. That's very impressive for you. So not just winning the race, but getting confirmation from my teammate that I beat him was pretty special.
And Andrew Aiken has rejoined the race. Hoffman catches the curb in the corkscrew and gives a death twitch there. He holds on to it. Down the hill, now Garrett joins the battle a little bit closer. We are now back within, I would say, focused battle distance here. We won't move the camera.
That was actually pretty interesting how that happened. I think Hoffman kind of missed his braking point coming towards the corkscrew, and I think he entered the corkscrew a little bit different than how he wanted because he was trying to save the back of the car from coming around, and he didn't get really set up for the bottom part of the corkscrew well. So it kind of started in one way and sort of impeded the rest of his travel through there. So I think right now, if I'm Johnny Garrett, I would say, man, I hope if I had spent the last 5 or 6 laps trying to get my car working in a way that's beneficial to me, here's my chance for getting back into second place again. So let's see if he can kind of stick with Hoffman. Right now, Hoffman's probably trying to make sure he gets back in rhythm again.
We're about 6 laps short of halfway. We're moving right along here. Lap 16 of 45. Camera Dancer leader. Watching a battle for second between Jan Hoffman and Johnny Garrett. Hey, big news set here on the channel in December. P1 Broadcasting becomes the primetime home for their happy hour at the Brickyard, which will be your nightly destination for all the action leading up to the prestigious PRI Hoosier 500. Every night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., we'll bring you exclusive coverage straight from the track, practice sessions, driver interviews, expert analysis, and more. Building up to Sim Racing's biggest Indy 500 event, the last kiss of the bricks for 2025 starts here. The countdown is on. Mark your calendars and follow along as we bring you the road to Sunday, December 14th, 2025, when the best in sim racing take on the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Join me in the booth throughout the week, along with Andrew Wood, as we want to take you and be part of the excitement. So pucker up, everybody. Don't miss a second of the action. Like, share, and subscribe to stay locked in, and we will see you in December at Indianapolis for the PRI Hoosier 500.
We just saw Andrea Giacometti have a quick loop off the final corner, and he relinquishes fourth place to Cesar Manzato. It was just kind of one of those get back on the throttle, kill switch moments, and did a quick little 360, and away he goes. Actually, Barnicow, watching Barnicow now, it seems Barnicow is maybe letting some traffic go by. He was very slow going up the hill towards the corkscrew, but nothing's wrong there. He had that incident earlier, so now he's just trying to stay away. The leader's coming by.
I've been staring at Manzato's livery. I love it. Now Manzato, I think, is going to let Giacometti back on by. Might be a planned team repositioning. Now Marcometti is right back. This is a 3-car battle, all very close together. And Lucas Laville, actually, let's make it a 4-car battle. We can throw them all under a blanket right now.
Yeah, that's interesting that Manzato let him back by again. I'm wondering if that was, like you said, kind of a teammate ploy there and say, okay, you messed up, go ahead back by me again, and I'll just follow you. Or perhaps Manzato is just trying to work on his own car. It's almost like I'm watching how some of these drivers are racing right now, and it seems more like a test session than a race to me, because some of these guys are being very courteous with each other and letting each other by. It's not the first time I've seen it on the track today.
Oh, Marcometti. Wow, he's threw the dirt up at the top of the corkscrew.
More corkscrew action for us, for sure.
He about got into the back of Manzato, but I've been staring at Manzato's livery, and I really, really like that. That screams classic IndyCar as well as very, very fast. So hats off to whoever painted that. But that battle kind of separates out a little bit, but action still with these cars. Remember, these cars are kind of modified to turn left and right. Normally they are straight up oval cars. The 2005 season, actually, they did redesign the car. It would have been the third redesign of the car in the IRL's early history at that point. Of course, you had the original design in 97. They redesigned it in 2000, and the next redesign, I believe, was to the inside, LaVille, Manzato through 5, now up the hill, coming to 6. You can't go side by side through 6. How's it gonna go? Oh, and he goes side by side through 6. They bang wheels up the Rahal straight. Here comes Marcometti. He's like, man, I'm gonna get me a position here into. Oh, and we're gonna slide up.
Manzato's gonna lose it.
No.
Wow, that was a lot of action, and almost kind of saw it coming a little bit with 3 cars coming up the hill. If you're that lead car, Manzato, you're like, oh my goodness, these cars are flying up behind me, and you're watching more mirrors than where your brake point is. So I'm not surprised that Manzato kind of lost the rear there. It could have happened to anyone, really.
So this design of this car, they actually kind of redesigned a little bit so it would be more road course friendly. But these cars really still are based upon their early brethren, which were at the time left turn oval cars, and they just IndyCar applied a little bit of engineering to turn these into road course vehicles. But I can't imagine them being very good road course vehicles. So these guys are throwing it around out there. And and that's a glorified test session. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the start of the next CIS season is only a month or so away, and practice time in an open setup environment. Again, iron sharpens iron. The more you put into the car in an open setup environment, the more you get out of it, right?
Well, I have to say a track like this is actually pretty good from a testing standpoint because it's got a little bit of elevation happening to it, not really a lot of banking or anything like that kind of helps you with there, but you got some long straightaways, you got some short straightaways, you got a lot of complex cornering here, so this is actually probably a good track that to finish the winter season on, that you could test out a couple things that you like to see from a multiple kind of turning situation.
And still the leader, as he is pulling away to a 5-second lead over Hoffman.
I can see that Garrett's not really falling off the back of Hoffman too much. So maybe some of the gremlins that Garrett had going on earlier in the race, he's managed to work out a little bit. Either that or Hoffman might have just dropped his pace a little bit, realizing that, hey, the win's probably out of the books for me, and I just want to kind of coast off here. Because he was definitely pulling away from Garrett before, but he's not exactly pulling away this time after that little quick incident in the corkscrew.
And he is coming up on Stumm, who's had an adventuresome race already. Or that is just a for track position, as he tries to run down Jan Hoffman, who got around Stumm there earlier going into the Andretti hairpin.
I think Lucas LaVille, I'm watching him now, and it seems his next target will be that Giacometti car. He's gotten past the other 2 teammates from some spinning and some other unfortunate on-track scenarios there. So let's check out LaVille's lap times. I believe he's running very similar times to Giacometti, but I think if you give it another 10 or so laps, they may be pretty close to getting into a battle as we get towards the end of the race here.
It is still racing in Daytona, so if you're putting the 500 on mute and you're bringing us up on another device, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Watching LaVille over his shoulder going down through the hairpin with a ton of debris at the bottom of it. Laguna Seca, long-time final race on the IndyCar calendar. Not this year. It's going to be mid-season. In fact, that's the earliest I think I recall Laguna Seca appearing on the IndyCar calendar ever. I could be wrong. But for the longest time, the champions were decided here in both the Kart Series, Champ Car World Series, IndyCar Series.
Yeah, they had that little bit of a switcheroo either this year. I couldn't remember if it started last year or it took effect this year, where they were going to go to the Nashville street circuit, and they wound up canceling that due to some other commitments they had going on, and they went to the Oval. And honestly, that oval finish was quite a bit more exciting than anyone would have thought.
Yeah, I think all of the oval races last season were pretty exciting for the most part, which really just leads back to the argument of adding more ovals. Problem with ovals is they're just not well attended. I don't know if that's because of promotion or what. Outside of Indianapolis, of course, the guys at the Bommarito group always put the grandstands packed for Gateway. Hy-Vee has definitely kicked up a notch for packing the grandstands. There we're seeing Andretti Airpin, slower traffic getting out of the way as we still continue to ride with LaVille. Hy-Vee packed the grandstands at Iowa. The return to Milwaukee definitely was the promoters did an excellent job there to pack that one. But if we want to see more ovals, we got to pack them in more than just Indianapolis, Gateway, Iowa, and Milwaukee. We got to pack the whole schedule. So hopefully we see more ovals. I keep hearing that 2026 will see a more robust and diverse schedule for the IndyCar Series. And of course, the lead up to that is already the Arlington Street Race around Cowboy Stadium. But that also means for sure we're not going to see Texas Motor Speedway again, and that is a shame. At the bottom of the hill, there was that Sturm going off. LaVille now has caught Giacometti. Giacometti goes wide there, a little lock up. Going down the main straight. This is turn one right here.
Well, got very close there.
Oh, and now we're in turn two, and there's a car rejoining. That is Giacometti. That's a McEwen. McEwen in front. McEwen, yep.
Looks like LaVille picked that spot up. He actually picked it up a lot faster than I thought, so I'm wondering if Giacometti had a little bit of an issue on a previous lap or something, because they were running very similar lap times, only a couple of tenths apart, and LaVille was about 3.5 seconds back. And it seems that something must have happened to Giacometti. Maybe he had an off course up here at turn 7 or something like that, and rejoined and allowed LaVille. But LaVille seems to be kind of on fire right now. Actually, his lap times are kind of mirroring Cameron Dance's up front.
McEwen getting out of the way, allowing LaVille and Giacometti on by. 26 of 45. We are just past the halfway point. Cameron Dance still your leader. Johnny Garrett second. Jan Hoffman third. Thanks for joining us. If you are just joining us, this is P1's coverage. Championship Sunday of the CIS Winter Series coming to you from Laguna Seca Raceway for the CIS Marlboro Challenge. We've completed now 26 of 45. If you're enjoying P1's coverage of today's race, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for future iRacing content, including tonight. Round 1 of Season 2 of the Vote of Indy Oval Series at Michigan. Go ahead.
Giacometti went off course. Jan Hoffman rejoined the track from his pit stop, and I think that threw Giacometti off a little bit. He touched the dirt, keeps going, no harm, no foul there.
Yep, a little off-roading.
But we forgot to even consider that the pit stops were going to be happening. You had mentioned during your little breakdown there that Garrett was ahead of Hoffman, so I was wondering what we missed there, but it seems that Hoffman just simply took his pit stop. So we're going to have everybody come down pit lane once this race, which is what we learned back at the Mosport event, that you can't go on one full tank here. So Hoffman decided to do his a little bit early, and we'll see the rest of these guys do their one pit stop as we continue on the next 18 laps here. Everyone seems to be a little bit spread out right now on track. Not really any big battles going on, but yeah, I think the biggest thing here will be what will we see once everyone pits, and make sure that everyone does their pit stops safely and obeys all the pit speed and everything like that. As we mentioned on the top of the broadcast here, this pit lane is actually very tricky to get into just because of the angle approach, and it's not something that it's very easy to practice for and then replicate once the race gets going. So I'll see if anybody kind of, oh boy, we have LaVille. LaVille just went by Aiken up at the corkscrew, and then he kind of missed his breaking point, went through the dirt, kind of Zanardi style actually. If you want to take a
yeah, let's go take a look at
walk
this.
down memory lane for that one. But there's dirt there now, and LaVille says, all right, let's go in the pit lane, and this will be a good time to do this after my tires get a little roasted.
Not as close as him and Brian Herta at the top of the corkscrew, but kind of the same way. Yeah. We'll give him an A for effort, but we'll see what the Eastern European judges rule that for style.
Definitely something a little bit more critical, I'd imagine. Yeah, so LaVille finishes his pit stop safely, comes back down the pit access road. He'll rejoin kind of in a league of his own there. Cameron Dance is coming up behind, but I imagine that Dance will probably see LaVille up ahead, and if he doesn't find an easy way to get by him, Dance will probably take his pit stop there as well.
Dance, Garrett, Giacometti, Manzato yet to stop. As you can see, we'll probably just need one stop to get to the end. Not a horribly tactical race, but a very difficult racetrack for sure.
There's definitely something to that. This is definitely, and I mean, I will definitely call this a test session for the regular season. Yeah, you get the mini series going, and you kind of go for the best championship position you can go for over the 6 races. But when it gets down to it, and you kind of settled into the final race here, now it's really time to try and kind of hone in your driving skills a little bit. Maybe try and push the envelope and see exactly what you have as a driver and what your car has, and test the limits there. So I think that's maybe something these drivers are considering at this point, and we'll see how the chips fall at the end of the race here.
IndyCar commercial just during Daytona coverage. Love to see it.
They've definitely done a nice job of trying to showcase these drivers and make a lot of them seem like they're the best in the business, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure that a lot of IndyCar fans have really hoped for something like this to happen for many years now. So now we've moved to a new broadcasting partner, and we'll have to see what exactly they do to help us. But it's been nice to see all the ads so far, and I'm sure that these guys driving right now would wish that they were kind of having some ads taken after them at the start of the Classic IndyCar Series, because I'm sure we can get some good content for every single one of these drivers based on how they interact with one another and in the pre-race and the post-race and everything like that. And we got a lot of talent here, so it's definitely good to showcase stuff like that. So I'm happy to see that IndyCar is doing it.
Yeah, the New Garden one is by far the best in my opinion. Then I think Pato, the newest one that came out last weekend during the Super Bowl, and they tried hard.
Mellis is around again. I think he saved it.
Who?
Mellis.
Got on him.
Stephen Mellis. Yep. He's rejoining up the hill. He messed up at turn 7 there, hit the outside of the track.
Yeah, that is a very difficult section right there. Very fast section.
Yeah, you hit that inside red square that's there, a little bit of a turtle. Oof. as they call them in the racing world there, that little turtle curb that kind of upsets the car, and if you hit one of those things, then no matter what you do, that car is going to come around.
I don't think the Polo commercial was very good. It didn't do a good job of kind of giving the legend of Polo the kind of the same shine of a legend of Newgarden. But we'll see when they come out with more later this season. Just be sweet. I would assume we're going to see more than just those 3.
It's definitely a good teaser of sorts.
Yes.
Got everything kind of going for what a lot of IndyCar fans may want to see, or some Indy curious people.
Yeah.
I have a few Indy curious people in my life because I've been a fan for all these years, and I would always talk about these to people in my network, and people would kind of roll their eyes and say, "Oh yeah, race car, haha, funny." That's interesting. And now that they're seeing commercials and it being broadcast, I've been getting a lot more questions from people in my network saying, "Oh, this IndyCar thing, that's what you go to, right? That's what you watch." So it is kind of having an outreach a little bit. Not sure if it'll actually grab more eyeballs or not, but the Formula One Drive to Survive kind of bubble has gotten some more people interested in the sport, so I can't see why IndyCar can't do the same thing.
And the next season of Drive to Survive is not too far off into the future. Johnny Garrett just stopped fuel only.
Very interesting, Garrett, there. I imagine Hoffman still might have the advantage on him, but we did talk about this in the previous race, that a fuel only could help you in the short term, but maybe in the long term kind of hurt your pace a little bit, especially you have the warm tires on track already, and you kind of already know what you expect when you come out of the pit lane, but if that wear continues...
Oh, Johnny Garrett, top of the corkscrew, cold tires. A little bit of off-roading there. He would make Robbie Gordon proud.
Well, if he didn't take tires, then the tires wouldn't be as cold as fresh ones necessarily.
Oh,
so.
That's true. Yeah, cold tires. Yeah, actually, you know what? Just don't listen to me. That was dumb. I should not have said cold tires after special reporting that he didn't even stop for any.
I was trying to
yeah,
navigate this.
There's no rescuing me on that one. There's no rescuing me on that one. Yeah. Oh, Johnny Garrett Cameron Dance coming to pit road as he gets into that very tight turn there to get on the pit road, and now he has a very slow roll, 35 miles per hour down to his pit stall.
Yet no mistakes on the pit entry there from Cameron Dance. He managed to get in just nice and safe, and now he just has to have a clean pit stop, and he should be good to go for the end here.
And he's going for tires. Going up
might
on
as
the
well
jacks.
at that point, when you have that amount of lead, you might as well just go for the best equipment possible. Well, I should say Jan Hoffman behind him also took tires, so that's his real only competition. And if he had the gap as it was, then he can kind of take his time and heat his tires up as necessary with no real pressure from behind. And just don't mess up here, because it is actually making it sound very easy to go through the steps here of kind of warming your tires up and taking it easy as best you can, but it could be a little bit difficult if you do kind of overstep the boundaries a little bit, which we saw with Barnicow there on lap 1.
Well, stop should be complete for everybody now, I believe. 34:45. So we are in the final stages of this race. Dance is your leader. He's pretty much led them all. Hoffman second. Garrett third, Lavelle fourth, Manzotto fifth.
He's off, and he's back on again. Similar to the Stum spin. Kind of came down off the corkscrew there, and I think he might have just maybe missed his entry to the corner and hit the curb wrong, and
whoop. Yep, that's
hit the stand there, but no harm, no foul. Kind of goes up into the sand trap and rejoins on a nice, clean part of the track, so he'll continue.
And Giacometti does have the leader right behind him.
I was going to say Manzotto picked up a spot there. So I believe Giacometti was running in 4th place, and Manzotto has now gone by. So that's a position for Cesar Manzotto after having that incident up at the corkscrew earlier.
And Giacometti leading Dance on by, going into 5. They go up the hill, hitting 6 there.
Barnicow hits pit lane. Probably his one stop after his incident earlier in the race, so he's doing his compulsory stop right here. So it seems we have 13 cars left on track. Marshall Stanley decided to retire after the incident with Stefan Mellis there. Rafael Rodriguez having incident. Aikens around going up the hill towards the corkscrew. He was our last place runner on the field there, and I just happened to be watching as he went through and had a quick little spin there, similar to the one that Mellis had about 3 or 4 laps ago.
And a very dirty exit area for the corkscrew right now. So if you go off there on the corkscrew, you might find the going very slidey.
Nobody wants to ride through that dust, especially if once you see it on the track and you kind of have a loose moment, then it might kind of snowball into something more.
Something happened to Lucas Laville. He is on pit road. He is out of the cockpit. Not sure what happened. Oh, okay. So this is through 5, going up the hill under the pedestrian crossover bridge for the infield.
We were just talking about the dirt on the track, Gary. This is exactly what happened.
Yep. And then he slides into the tire barrier. Oof. Day done.
Rough
or at
hit
least,
there.
he's going to execute the fast repair, maybe rejoined for a little extra testing. But that car is going to require a tow and the fast repair in order to complete this race. 9 to go. If you're just joining us, we're in the last 10 laps of P1's coverage of Championship Sunday, round 6 of 6 of the CIS Winter Series, coming from Laguna SECA Raceway for the CIS Marlboro 500 Challenge. Actually, not the Marlboro 500, it's just the Marlboro Challenge. Marlboro 500's at Michigan. But the Marlboro Challenge, where currently our championship leader, Cameron Dance, is looking at a possible winter season championship to go into the 2025 regular season on probably the best foot possible. 9 laps to go until he can accomplish that feat. But make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. The next CIS race will be in March, and you can see that on Green Flag TV. The link for their channel is in the description. Make sure to subscribe to them. Tell them that Gary and Andrew sent you.
Absolutely. I'll be on track, so you don't have to listen to my silly voice anymore. I say that now, and I hope that I do well for all those that are watching that tune over to Green Flag TV. Hope it's a good season for me. We'll have to see how it goes.
And, of course, they have the Indy 500 at the end of their schedule, as Tony George intended for the Indy Racing League. And I remember you telling me that you made the lineup for this year's 500. I was driving the pace car for the CIS Indy 500. And I basically said, good luck. I know you're going to do well. And then within 20 minutes or so of me getting out of the car, I get a message like, well, I'm done.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. I had made a fairly decent mistake. It was my first race back on iRacing in quite a long time, and kind of wasn't really ready for every situation that I was going for. And a caution came out, and I thought that I was going to make an inside pass onto turn 2, and unfortunately the car that was on the outside was already slowing down more than I expected, and I had a little bit of contact there. It's something that I probably should have predicted more, and that comes down to being out of the car, not having as many reps and everything. And once you're in the car and you understand kind of what's going on around you more, you're easily able to figure out those situations. And for me, it was more of kind of almost a rookie mistake, I would call it. So it was unfortunate. Indy 500s have definitely eluded me, but lately it's been kind of sink or swim for me. Or checkers or wreckers, if it as it were. I've won an Indy 500 in the Lionheart Series, but I've wrecked out at pretty much every other one. So it's either win or don't win, I guess.
Yeah, much like Tom Sneva, his last time he finished a 500 was in '83 when he won, and every other Indy 500 after that for Tom Sneva never finished the race.
It's funny how those kind of curses sit above you for a long period of time, and you don't even realize it's a curse until someone tells you it's a curse.
Here's your stat line. Did you know this? And you're like, I cared to forget that. Yeah, and I didn't.
That's why I didn't want to read mine at the start of the broadcast, because I was like, oh no, now I'm going to be completely exposed in front of 1,000 or so people.
You got a 67% finishing in the top 10 rate. That's pretty good. I think there's a lot of people that would love to switch spots with you if you could finish in the top 10 that much.
I think you're definitely right there. I think that's a stat that I wasn't expecting, so when you read it, it was kind of wiping the sweat off my brow.
And you picked up the schedule here recently. You finished on the podium for the Elite IndyCar Series, and then in the other Elite IndyCar Series, the Elite Racing League, the one that I broadcast over there on the Elite Racing Network, you got a top 10 in their opener at Legacy, Kentucky, which was a difficult race for everybody there. But, I mean, you didn't have yourself a bad week at all. A podium and 2 top 10s.
Yeah, it was kind of unexpected, really. Whenever you go into a new season, you kind of want to just finish the race. Like, if I finish 20th, but I cross the start-finish line, okay, we can make progress from there. But I kind of had a little bit of a frustrating race where I'm wondering why everybody is a little bit faster than me, and I might have just kind of fallen into a good circumstance. So it's almost kind of one of those, you give yourself a small pat on the shoulder and say, okay, like, I managed to get a good finish out of something that I probably didn't deserve, but what can I learn here so that I could deserve those good finishes going forward? So that Elite Racing League one was definitely one I'll remember, and hopefully in the coming races I'll figure some stuff out and actually contend for something that I know I can contend for.
And Manzato allowing lap traffic on by, so only the top 3 on the lead lap. Dance, Hoffman, Garrett. Those are your lead lap cars at the moment. Manzato, Giacometti, Marcamini, they are 4th, 5th, and 6th. McEwen and Shoemake also 7th and 8th. They are 1 lap down.
One thing I find kind of interesting here is the weather. We're here at Laguna Seca, and it's kind of, yeah, we're kind of close to the shore and everything, and there might be a little bit of a sea breeze happening, but it's actually pretty mild temperatures out there, or not mild, chilly temperatures out there for what we'd expect for California, especially with this desert landscape around us.
Yeah, this is a little bit up the coast. I would consider it Northern California, but near Monterey. In fact, we will be here again Wednesday night for the Formula Indy Series for their Grand Prix of Monterey. Don't miss it. The race session starts at 7:30. Yep, watching Garrett slide through.
Shoemake has touched the wall, the pit wall, actually, coming out of the last corner, similar to the Giacometti spin.
Oh, and yeah, that is a mangled right front right there.
It was very, very similar to what Giacometti just did about 25 laps ago. Unfortunately, Giacometti was able to continue, and Shoemake, unfortunately, has now made contact with that tire, that inside pit wall.
Three laps to go here.
By.
So yeah, we got 2 races at Laguna Seca this week, 2 races at Michigan this week on the channel. Busy week.
Ooh, I think Shoemake's just trying to hold on to it. He kind of went off course again a little bit and kind of scared Barnacow as he was coming through, but I think Shoemake's just going to try and wheel this thing back to pit lane as safe as you can. And let's also mention to anyone that's going to follow this series in the real time, you are not allowed to bring a damaged car back to the pit lane. So we're kind of using this as a test session to everybody that watches in general. But if you were to see an incident like that during an actual classic IndyCar series, it's in the rule book that if your car is damaged, you cannot drive it back to the pit lane damage. You must take a tow. So hopefully Shoemake just kind of uses it as kind of like, all right, let's get back to the pits. But remembers that when we get to the actual series, he doesn't want to get penalized for a future race.
Cameron Dance.
He's made back safely to the pits as he's coming down right now.
Very good. Cameron Dance now less than 2 laps away from winning the race and the championship here for the winter schedule, the winter season. Down the hill, coming into 10. Now 11, and we'll be staring at the white flag this time by looking to sweep the road courses on this 6-race schedule. 3 ovals, 3 road courses, 2 intermediate ovals, 1 one-mile oval.
You can just tell watching Dance's car, it's really kind of doing everything you want it to. It's got a lot of entry speed, exit speed. The car is kind of responding to everything, and you might think that he just kind of dialed it down a little bit, which is quite possibly what he did, as he's only got a 10-second lead over Jan Hoffman. But you could definitely tell that car is compliant, and it's very, very easy to drive. Let's see how it comes up to the corkscrew here, if he keeps it nice and smooth over both curbs.
Final time through the corkscrew downhill.
beautifully done, just touching every apex with ease. Very, very smooth entries, very nice exits, and brakes for the last corner here, and he's going to see the checker flag when he rounds this corner.
And doing the Cameron Dance victory weave down the front stretch. Cameron Dance, your winner and champion of the CIS Winter Series. Jan Hoffman coming home second. Johnny Garrett will be coming home in third. A near championship for Johnny, but a podium nevertheless.
It was a good, valiant effort from Garrett. He finished second in this championship, and if you remember back at the Charlotte race, we were interviewed and we found out that he was sick, so he was dedicated for sure.
Oh, check this out. Markham Indy's going to go backwards across the start-finish line.
Oh, wow. Yep, you got a mangled right front, kind of like Shoemake did.
And there we go. And he was in a battle with Manzato for fifth spot there on the last lap. McEwen comes home in seventh. Stum already complete in eighth. Shoemake in ninth. And Shoemake getting ready to round 11th and complete his lap. Barnacow should come home in 10th. And, yep, Shoemake gets it home, and Barnacow, I think, has already taken the checkered flag, so he does not need to complete the lap. So everybody shown complete. Cameron's already punched out. And he's on his way to the interview room. So let's get into today's final standings here real quick, but let's go ahead and get the get a replay schedule queued up here. There we go. Cameron Dance, your winner by 9 seconds over Jan Hoffman. Johnny Garrett, 17 seconds behind. Those are the only three cars to finish on the lead lap. Giacometti finishes fourth. Manzato fifth. Marcamini sixth. McEwen seventh. Stum in eighth. Shoemake in ninth. Barnacow in 10th. Everybody, a little bit of everybody had something happen to them here in that whole top 10. So that was just getting home was half the battle. Next page, Aiken, Mellis, LaVille, Stanley, Rodriguez rounding out your top 15 in the 15-car field.
That just kind of screams Laguna for you. Everyone seems to have a little bit of an issue at some point in the race, whether it be the pit entry or hitting one of those little apex boxes that we talked about and go for a little bit of a ride. It's very, very hard. It's hard to pass here, but it's also hard to have a clean race at the same time. So everyone that finished in the top 10 definitely deserves to be happy with how they did today.
And there we go. There, okay. I blew the standings up momentarily, so they're back. All right, so let's get into the interview room and get down to Johnny here. All right, and I don't see anybody. There's Jan. So if we'll go ahead and bring Jan in first since he's ready to go. And if when Johnny joins, we will bring John down immediately. So let's go ahead and bring Hoffman in. We'll make sure that he is unmuted. I think he is unmuted. Jan, you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on the P2. Good finish to the winter season, a good warm-up for the regular season. This is a very hard racetrack. We talked about it all throughout the broadcast. Talk about your race and, was it hard? Was it difficult? We know the corkscrew was hard for everybody.
Well, Laguna Seca is always a hard track if you push, especially in the beginning, following Johnny and trying to figure out a way to overtake him, or yeah, where's a good opportunity. Um, but once I was past him, it was just stay focused, don't make any mistakes, and trying to build the gap to him. I knew that Cameron was once again in another world today. So it was more so, yeah, watching the gap behind, trying to build a gap for the pit stop because I changed tires. So getting them up to temps will lose you a second or two, especially around here. So yeah, but P2, I'm happy with that. Ending the Winter Series on a high note. That's always good for the morale going into the regular season.
Come on, Andrew.
Yeah. We saw you had a couple of little miscues with connection or some netcode kind of incidents and everything over the last whatever several races we had here. So I just wanted to know, did you learn anything in this winter series that you can kind of take forward? Did you kind of do a little bit of something different than how you would normally drive a full regular season? Or what was kind of your mindset going through the last few races here and trying to figure out how you could take your skill set and your driving to the next level for the regular season?
Well, going in, I didn't really try to do anything different, like maybe be a bit more aggressive. But then again, I'm not an aggressive driver in general. So yeah, what I learned is that the netcode bubble just got way bigger in this car in iRacing. Like we don't really know why, but that's something we will have to keep in mind for the ovals. To just give that extra half lane of room, just to stay alive and stay safe, at least in the beginning of the race, when there's still so much, yeah, so much to race for. In during the end of a race, yeah, you will probably not give that half extra lane. But yeah, that's something I will keep in mind going into the regular season. Just yeah, the net code got worse.
Thanks for the reminder, because something that you may recognize from racing me so much in in the regular season is I do like to keep it close to people. And when you race enough with Josh Chin, he'll tell you you're too far away from me. You're too far away from me. You got to get closer and everything. So I've seen a lot here that might kind of second guess how I want to race it going forward. So it's definitely a good reminder, and yeah, that could kind of change your whole style of driving too if you really kind of implement it the right way, and it may pay off the way you want it to.
Any shout outs, Jan, sponsors, friends, families, loved ones, anyone you want to say hi to for this P2 here today?
First of all, thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast and yeah, giving the fans at home a chance to watch. For example, my family. My dad loves to watch me race, and of course to my team. Project Sim Racing. It's always fun on the Discord with them doing these races, and of course to the rest of the admin team for making this possible. And yeah, now we're going into season 11, so that's awesome to still have this yeah, this league alive, and yeah, basically to everybody who also participates and then keeps the league alive.
Well, good run and a good finish to the winter season for you. It starts you off on a very good foot for the regular season starting in March. Congratulations and best of luck in the regular season coming up. And maybe we'll catch you on the next winter series, maybe a year from now.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I hope so.
All
Thanks,
right. That is Jan Hoffman. We do have Johnny Garrett. We'll bring him on in here. And there he is. He is currently muted. We will unmute him. Hopefully that did it. There it is. Johnny, welcome to the booth. Sorry, we started off with Jan there first. Looks like you weren't ready for the interview, but you're popped in here now. No championship for you this time in the cards, at least for the Winter Series, but a podium finish to finish out a pretty successful campaign, despite missing only one race on the schedule. And you still got to think that leads you off on a good foot going into the regular season coming up in March. But talk about your race and talk about the upcoming season.
Oh, hey, look, it was a tall order with Cameron there, and I was proud to make it as far as I could. So I had I had a whole list. I won't bore you with it. It wasn't too long of like how I was going to approach today, but the main thing is that I was going to try to stay calm, get through without too much trouble. I did have a lot of self trouble. So I did those two things. I really was going to try to win, with his pace right away. I realized that wasn't going to happen. So I'm glad. I hope Jan and I put on a good battle for you guys to watch there for a while. And I guess one of the other things I accomplished that I think I told you guys or hoped I told you I hope that I'm up in the booth there more often this year. So I did that. I pulled a couple things off.
That is a good goal. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, that definitely kind of led into exactly what I wanted to ask. Is that if you've had some success. Unfortunately, Gary decided to display my classic IndyCar Series stats across the whole broadcast during this thing. So, would you like to find yourself up here in the booth interviewing more next season? Do you feel more confident going into next season that you could accomplish those podium finishes and actually make a run for a championship during the actual season? Did you use this race to kind of test anything out after you had your battle at the end, obviously, or where's your mindset as we kind of end the Winter Series and go into the next season?
I think I'm just gonna try to keep doing what I'm doing because some things are working, and then if there's anything that's obvious that's not, and I have to say that one of those things is for me is probably overcooking it into turns on the road courses. It's probably many people's can understand that and have done that. I went back to that habit a little bit on this track today for some reason. Uh, some days you feel really comfortable, and sometimes you're just kind of so-so. And I think that was one of my so-so days today. So now, one of the things I don't know if you guys caught it, but I was happy with how my pit stop went, except for when when it looked like I had a chance to at least get alongside of Jan. I overcooked it there too. So and I didn't even take tires. So it was just me pushing it too hard.
Yeah, we did catch you actually. I messed up. It was interesting. I spotted you on the broadcast. I said, "Oh yeah, Johnny takes no tires," and then on your out lap, I think you messed up the corkscrew or something, and I said, "Oh, cold
Yeah.
tires," and Andrew's like, "But he didn't take new tires." I'm like, "Oh
I
yeah,"
didn't.
and I messed up on that one. So yeah, there was a whole episode in a mini episode inside of this episode about that, but we did catch you not taking tires on pit road. How did that feel? I mean, you probably did quite a bit of testing to find out that no tires was a viable strategy to go ahead and execute that. How did that feel for you?
It felt fine. I did find in my testing with a little bit warmer track like today, it wasn't baking, but it was a little bit warmer. I could have thrown them on there. It might have helped me, but I found in general it didn't make much of a difference. So I
Gotcha.
think it was the right call for me. I think some of my teammates went the other way. But I did want to uh, just mention one thing that Andrew asked about and that I didn't answer is like, do I look at winning a championship next year? I mean, the Winter Series is a little bit different than our regular season. It's a lot more competitive in the regular season. But I'll tell you what, me being up there is proof if you just can stay third once in a while or even in top five, I think everybody has a chance if you can do that more often, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I back that up completely, and that's something that I've done in previous seasons as well. Is just kind of finish races fifth, sixth, or seventh, and let everyone else kind of blow themselves up around you. And next thing you know, you're kind of actually within a points race or so of getting something close to the Indy 500, and then you never know what could happen at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah, you and I have looked at that right over that horizon together many times. So,
Any shout outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to say hi to before we let you go?
oh, hey, you know what? Thanks, you guys. I hope it was fun to watch. And CIS always, congratulations to Cameron. And thanks for racing me clean there, Jan. I hope I did the same for you. And it was fun. It's fun today.
Well,
I
best
hope
of
to see
luck
you
in
guys.
for sure, and best of luck in the regular season. We know you'll do well there, and maybe we see you again in the next winter season a year from now.
Oh, excellent. All right, guys. Thanks for everything.
Take care, Johnny.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. So now let's bring down Cameron, our champion of the Winter Series. There he is. We'll unmute him. And Cameron with us here in the booth. Cameron, congratulations on basically a double win today. You got the win here at Laguna SECA. You win the championship for the winter season. It can't get much better than this. The great way to jump off from the Winter Series to the regular season starting in March for you guys. But I believe you got the Grand Slam today. You led them all. You won the race. I think you got the fastest lap. And you led every single lap and got the pole win. Yeah, that's it. So congratulations on the Grand Slam as well. Talk about your dominating day. Really didn't leave anything to doubt at the start. As soon as that green flag fell, you were off, and there was no one challenging you at all.
Yeah, I mean, in practice, I was actually looking at the times, and when I did my laps, I was like, "Oh, okay, this might be an interesting one," because Johnny was about 2 tenths quicker or something, and I wasn't 100% sure on like what track temp everybody had done their laps on, or like whether people were on quali fuel or not. So yeah, it was like when we went out the gate at quali and put down a 1:06, I was like, okay, sweet as. So yeah, no, the car was really really quick. Quite nice to finish the race as well. As I know 2 years ago I lost the championship at this track with the fact that I DNF'd. So yeah, nice to get a little bit of redemption and actually know that the car has quite a lot of speed if you drive it right. So yeah, that was really really good. But yeah, awesome to win the championship in the Winter Series. It's the second time I've won it now. With the fact I won it the first time I actually turned up to the series as a rookie. So yeah, really really good to wrap it up for the second time, and good to have some momentum going into the regular season.
Yeah, Cameron, I was mentioning during the broadcast that I felt like this track would be actually a good kind of like a spring testing or a winter testing kind of track, because it has a lot of short straightaways, long straightaways, medium kind of corners, tight corners, short corners, and everything like that. So after you kind of took that lead a little bit, did you actually kind of play around a little bit with some settings in the car, or maybe try some different things with entry exit to try and make the car better, and maybe use that to kind of make an advantage, even though you really don't need one for the regular season coming up?
I did try something like leading up to the race in practice. I tried just a slightly different roll bar to see if I could maybe get a little bit of stability, or maybe try and see if I could get a little bit more extra grip in somewhere that I needed it, and it seemed to help. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's like pretty much the car was pretty neutral for the whole race. I didn't really need to change anything. I might have been able to maybe soften up the rear bar, I think, maybe going forward, but it's one of those things where it's like the car was comfortable enough to the point where I could just drive it at the limit and hard enough to the point where I wasn't going to lose any time or make any mistakes. So yeah, it's a good track. It's really really hard work because you're just so rapid fire with all the corners and short straights. But yeah, I don't mind it, and it would be not too bad of a track for sort of a spring testing, I guess.
Did you actually did you mention that you were kind of on the limit? Did you actually find yourself on the limit through most of the race, even when you had that big lead, or did you kind of tone it down a little bit because you knew that no one's really going to challenge you at the pace that you had, so I want to keep the car clean and make sure I finish the race?
I was pushing to begin with, obviously just to try and build a little bit of a gap, but then once we got a bit of a gap going, it was like just sort of go into a bit of cruise control, try some fuel saving to see where it can maybe save some fuel and how much fuel that's going to save as well. And then sort of as the pit stop came along, after that, it was just sort of cruise control. And then on that last lap, I was just like, give it a not go, why not? We're in the last lap of the championship. So yeah, and then obviously did the purple lap. So yeah, it was sort of just try and obviously finish the race and maximize the amount of points we had, knowing that obviously there was a small points gap to Johnny, so probably couldn't afford a DNF more than anything.
We were watching your last lap, and you were on camera for the whole thing as I was trying to describe it. So good job making your last lap the best one. So you'll see that eventually.
Yeah, cheers, boys.
Any shout outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to say hi to for this big win and championship here for this winter season?
We'll just obviously shout out to the whole team at Overdrop Beer Motorsport. I know like it's been sort of a mediocre for the rest of the boys season in the Winter Series with some of the crashes and stuff that have happened in netcode and all the other bits. But yeah, no, shout out to them. They did awesome in the rounds that they did. Obviously, our cars are very, very quick when they need to be, so that's positive heading into the regular season. And then obviously shout out to them as well for all the hard work they've put in over the last couple of weeks. I know a lot of them didn't turn up this week. We had the Oceanic Sim Racing Bathurst 12-hour on, so we've been driving GT3s for the past couple of weeks. But yeah, shout out to them for all the hard work they've been doing over the past few weeks in the GT3s and just turning up to these races and showing that we've got some decent pace, and obviously everybody on the car as well, Hybrid Tune, Fight CRC, yeah, all of them, all our partners, Demon Tweaks, likes of them, they're all been really, really helpful, and looking forward to seeing what this regular season is going to hold with the fact we've got a lot of new ringers.
All right, well, congratulations. Go celebrate this. We'll catch you at the next race. We know you're appearing in a couple other series that we broadcast here on P1, so we'll catch you at the next race, but we'll possibly catch you in the CIS next time when we do the winter season again. But congratulations. You're now the reigning champion of the Winter Series. You swept all the road courses for this mini series, so even more props on that. And you get the big win here today at Laguna Seca to clinch the championship. So congrats, go celebrate, and we will catch you next season, whenever that might be, and best of luck to you in the regular season.
Hey, cheers, boys.
See you in the regular season, Cameron.
All right. Final thoughts, Andrew. I think a pretty successful little mini season, a little bit of everything. Going back to that first race at Texas was a little awkward, but they picked back up, and we had a strong finish there. And then we moved to the first road course, and it was kind of the preview of what Cameron's going to do for the rest of the season. When we got to that first road course, we go back to the oval, where they improved their racecraft immensely in that second race at Charlotte, a second oval race at Charlotte. And then the championship started to develop there with challengers. That's where Johnny kind of stepped into the picture. But every time as a road course came back up, Cameron always reestablished dominance, and he ended on that note today with a season-clinching win here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, you pretty much summed up the whole season right there. So I have not really much to add on that point, but I guess my final thought is actually commentating and watching these guys that I race against for several years now, and kind of sitting up here in the booth and watching things develop is a whole different beast, and it's really a lot of fun to try and kind of predict what I think might happen, or give a little bit of insight onto what some person might be thinking, or who might be faster than whom. That's definitely been quite an experience, and I really can't thank you enough for letting me up here to try and help you out on one side, but also try and give a little bit of insight to all the viewers on what exactly is happening. So that it's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad I was able to have this opportunity.
Well, you're going to be back. We know that. The Dark Horse Racing Series, the DW12 Series, will kick back off in May. So we'll have you for that for sure. And then you're going to be in the booth with us for the Hoosier 500 practice sessions in December. So there's a lot more, Andrew. And if we can find more room for Andrew on the schedule, we will. But thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you in the booth with us, regardless of what's on the racetrack. It's always good to have you in the booth, and we wish you the best. We know we'll see you in the Elite Series, and I know you got some more races coming up in both the Elite Series, as a matter of fact. So best of luck there, man. We'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be kind of like booth, track, booth, track, booth, track. So a lot to handle, really. But I'm really enjoying kind of where I sit right now in the sim racing world, and it's been a lot of fun. And maybe more opportunities will open up for me to do some more chatting about race cars on the track, which I've actually come to realize I really enjoy. And I'm looking forward to getting back on track with these guys in the Classic IndyCar Series in a few weeks, and maybe some of them might look at me a little bit differently and say now, oh, that's the guy that talked about me, and maybe they'll be nicer to me on the track or something like that. Not a mistake.
You got to watch what you say. I'll come back to haunt you. So that's it for today.
100%.
Once again, your podium from Laguna Seca for the CIS Marlboro Challenge is Cameron Dan sweeping all the road course, gets the win today. Jan Hoffman second. Johnny Garrett comes home third. And your CIS Winter Series Season 7 champion is this guy, Cameron Dance. He gets the dub and the championship going into the regular season coming up here in a few weeks. So that is it for our coverage of the CIS this season. But keep following our channel and social media accounts for the latest updates to our 2025 schedule. You can catch the CIS again over on our friends at Green Flag TV starting this March. So be sure to subscribe to Green Flag TV and and also make sure you follow all the CIS social media accounts to stay on top of their schedule. If it's anything like the 2024 season, everybody, you won't want to miss it. Really, trust me. The 2024 season was epic. I expect the 2025 season to be just as exciting. You can find a link to Green Flag TV's YouTube channel and links to the Classic IndyCar Series social media accounts. They're all in the description, so you don't have to go very far to look for them. They're all right there. It has been our honor to be considered to bring you action for this winter season, and we want to thank Robert and all the CIS admin team who made this possible. We want to thank you and hope that we are able to do your prestigious series a lot of justice. Like I said, I hold the CIS in very high regard, and it was a thrill to be able to call their action and have them here on our channel. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity to add CIS to our family here on P1. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game's not easy, so please help support P1 with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of today's race, and if you enjoyed today's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out on more of P1's other iRacing programming, including tonight, after you're done with the rain-shortened Daytona 500 and get bored with the NBA All-Star Game. Check us out at 8 p.m. Eastern for Round 1 of Season 2 of the Vote of Indy Oval Series at Michigan International Raceway. There are no rainouts on iRacing, so nothing better than IndyCars at Michigan. Do it tonight. We'll be watching. We'll be broadcasting. Hopefully you'll be watching. You won't want to miss it. Track cams for this race are provided by Whiplash SimCams. Get the most out of your iRacing experience with Whiplash SimCams. To learn more about Whiplash, like them on Facebook, follow them on X and Instagram. The links are in the description. So for everybody who's helped us out, we had an all-star cast of driver experts, not just Andrew Wood, but we had LGN, we had Brian Campbell, we had Mark Murphy. Thank all of them, everyone else at P1, everybody at the CIS. I'm Gary Gatto saying all good night, and thanks for watching. And to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again, or catch this series again, on Green Flag TV in March for their 2025 Season 11 opener, which is the next race up, the Classic IndyCar Series. Happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks a lot.